On today's episode, we're talking about how honoring your heart takes lots of courage and how you can show up in your life with more courage.
Welcome to Heartful Beings, where we bring loving, grounded, and practical perspectives to living a heart-centered life with Janet Uribe and Malena Rodriguez.
This is the place where we have heart-centered conversations and share our own experiences about all things spiritual while keeping our feet on the ground. Take what resonates and nourish your soul.
Hello again, and welcome back to Heartful Beings. We're so excited you can join us, guys, these last few days. And Malena just had a cool event yesterday with Corinne Grillo. Yo, Corinne, I hope to meet you one day. We need to tag her on this.
Yes, we do.
She was doing Heart Fest, right?
Love Fest,
Love Fest, where is really cool. I suggest all of you guys come in and find it, seek out Malena. I don't know if there's any recordings or anything like that out there.
Yeah, so all the recordings are like on her YouTube channel, that under the live tab, or you can join the live Love Fest Facebook group where we're all on there, all the recordings.
Awesome. So mega props to you, girl, for being courageous to stand out and start being more publicized, right? Starting to get out there. And it's really a way to honor who you are and honor your heart. And so one of the biggest things we're going to talk about today is courage. And so the word courage in itself is beautiful, because if you were to look up the origins of the word courage, it's from core, right? And core is related to the heart. So the innermost feelings, the innermost knowing, and the heart is the lead, which is why we're heartful beings, is why we want to talk about this stuff as much as we can. And so what's beautiful is she was talking about how much courage kept coming up as a theme in her event yesterday. And then today I was watching Miss Frisbee and the Rats of Nim. And I just started crying of all of the inner depth meanings that started showing up from this movie that's probably like 40 years old or something, and it's just now getting so much more meaning today. And shout out to like Don Bluth and Gary Goldman and all of you who put together such a beautiful film from an amazing novel. And in this movie, there's this wonderful quote from a rat named Nicodemus where he says, "Courage of the heart is very rare. The stone has the power when it's there." So I immediately start having so much energy flood in, because the word courage in itself is amazing, because it is the heart. It is the innermost feeling. And the idea that I can show up with courage is really just saying, I can show up to honor myself. And when I started to have all these realizations, I started doing a little bit more work around the word courage, asking, when does it change? Somewhere probably right before medieval times, it started to evolve more into like heart, spirit, temperament, or the state or the frame of mind. But the core of this word is the heart. And so when we have enough valor or worth or situations going on within, that we are willing to basically honor ourselves, who we are, what we have come here to do, it's beautiful, because courage is just like actually the most innate state of being, right? It's your just most natural way to be, if you can actually realize that you have a place of valor and worth to honor yourself, not what external society's constructs say. But anyway, friend, I feel like I hijacked our intro today.
No, not at all. It's beautifully, you beautifully let the foundation, because like yesterday I'm doing this event and courage just kept coming up. And that was one of the themes for the collective. I was doing live readings on this, and it just kept coming up and coming up and coming up. And then kind of my week leading up to it, like I've said, I've been doing this move. We got a baby on the way. I hadn't really had a lot of time for me. So a lot of fear kept popping up for me. Like, you're kind of out of practice, I would tell myself, which is not true. Are you sure, like, you really want to do this? I would start making excuses or try to kind of talk myself out of it. Like, you don't have time. You should just relax. And what I realized is, yes, some of those things may have been true, but really it was me trying to stay in my comfort zone or in the fear, to like kind of talk myself out of doing something that when I went into the heart and got out of the mind, the answer was a yes, do it. It's so fun. You love doing it. You feel so good afterwards. Like, the energy comes in and you're taken care of, it is what you're supposed to be here doing. So when I started talking to Janet about it, and she brought up this movie and this quote, it's the heart, because that's what put me back in check. Was I could be in the mind, trying to stay in the comfort zone, trying to stay in some old belief systems, letting the mind kind of hijack and run everything. But whenever I would go down into the heart, I got the true answer. Yes, of course, do it. So that was just like one small example of where I think checking in with the heart gives us sometimes, most of the time, more truth for us, right? And then now we're bringing this element of the courage it has been taking for all of us to open our hearts even more in the world that we live in. We live in such a like polarized situation right now on this planet in many, many countries or wherever you're living. And it has become more and more challenging to keep the heart open for some of us, or to even think the heart has a place in it, right?
Yeah.
Because everything has been really thick and dense, right? A lot of anger, a lot of hate, a lot of frustration. And a lot of people be angry, be frustrated. But what can we do in a more heartful way? What can we do? The true courage is, instead of, like you brought up, societal norms, or what, leaning into like the stories that we're being told, or the narrative, right? The
Yeah.
truth is when we go into the heart and we open the heart, and then we walk in those steps with courage, can, I think, true change happen for us, most importantly. And then it goes into the macro world,
Absolutely.
right?
And I'm sure so many of us can relate to this. I mean, I think that of moments when I was a teen or a tween, just a younger child even, and there's such an innate an innate desire to belong to a tribe, to belong to something, to have meaning, to find common ground with other individuals. It is something that is innate. Malena's about to have another baby, right? Like the baby is dependent on the structure of tribe in the species that we are currently incarnated in.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it's very easy for us to allow the mind to decide, well, if I go against what my upbringing says, if I go against what my religion says, or if I go against what my boss says, or if I go against so many different things that come up in any which way, what's nice versus what's wrong. I blew someone's mind at a dinner table yesterday because I was telling her how I've been behaving with my partner. And then she was kind of shocked that wasn't like in judgment of it, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
and then I just told her, I'm equally as beautiful to him. I'm equally as kind to him. I'm equally as thoughtful and considerate and loving. But yeah, there's moments where I'm working on my own shit.
Yeah.
That it has to come through, and I will sit there and verbally tell him what's on my mind and then connect it to what it's about. And so what's fascinating is, while we were in this little quarrel, it wasn't really a quarrel, it was more of a discussion, I looked at him and I said, and this took a lot of courage, guys, okay, a lot of vulnerability. I told him, I think I'm being unreasonable.
Oh, hold up. I can't even say I've been able to do that in the middle of it. I can come back with some reflection, sometimes, of like realizing that, but that is some mad growth.
Oh yeah, I know.
I just have to say.
And so me telling this other person that in the middle of our conversation really struck something within her of, oh, wait, so you're even taking accountability and ownership after you just behaved that way like 10 seconds prior. And I said, yeah, because if I'm sitting here and I'm actually questioning what's happening before me, then I'm bringing my heart forward. I'm having the courage to bring it forward, having the courage to honor it and say what's on my mind, exercising my throat chakra in the actual act of it. And then also valuing myself enough to feel like I have a right or a place to say things. And then right after I said it, I almost experimented with it and thought, what does that feel like? Oh, okay. That does feel a little unreasonable. And I just started laughing while I was at this experience at a dinner table with many women, because it's fascinating how we won't be courageous enough to honor something that needs to be said, be it good or bad, be it supportive or explosive. The truth is, being able to navigate those polarities is incredibly important to the innermost feeling, so that it can find its own resolution and find its own safety. Both have to exist in various dynamics and levels in order to find the neutrality and the balance.
Yeah, no, totally. When you were saying that too, there's been times where I've been in a discussion with somebody, an argument with somebody, or, where I know that what I'm saying, is unreasonable, or I know, wait, that didn't actually resonate. I'm not sure why I said it. No judgment on it, but maybe I hadn't shown up and just said exactly what was on my mind, right? We'll kind of tuck that little voice away. Totally fine. This is all like learning for the growth to honor all those parts of ourselves,
Yeah.
and that's where the courage really comes from. Um, so just so beautifully said on that. Um, yeah, that's what's coming up for me like big time right now.
See, and then if we even took that for a moment, that relates to being, I think we talked about this maybe in our last episode about nice versus thoughtfulness versus
Right.
kindness, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a nice guy or a nice lady or a nice in between, whatever we are, isn't actually going to say what they are authentically thinking in order to self-preserve, in order to sound agreeable, in order to be pleasant. And so there takes a certain level of courage to really connect with the heart and what resonates with the heart to actually break down those paradigms.
It's taking off the mask.
Yeah, taking off the mask for sure. The mask. And guys, who knows how many, I'm about to go to a life transformation, and who knows what mask I have on right now as I'm talking to you. There's a certain version of me that hasn't been revealed, and that's how it works for all of us. It's a constant unveiling, a constant removal of this mask that we walk in. But today I've just been crying all morning, really connecting with this one word, this one theme, this one topic that is probably one of the purest and most loving boundaries that you can ever have, is to just honor yourself.
Yes. And for me lately, it's been allowing myself to rest. I haven't been resting enough. I've been honoring the need that I need more rest. I hadn't been honoring that I needed more me time in a way, like to connect, to ground. I mean, literally, y'all, yesterday was like the first time I went in my backyard barefoot and just stood in my backyard, my new backyard in this new apartment. Just to ground for a second. I was like, I haven't done this yet since we moved into the house. Like, yeah, there's been so many things that, and there's no judgment on that, right? I needed to just get some things done. Okay. But now that I'm starting to settle in, I'm starting to get into my groove here in this new place. It's time for me to honor that. And so what does that look like for me? It's still doing what I love to do, getting out of my comfort zone for growth is still something that I put of a high value. I'm always still wanting to grow. I'm always still wanting to learn. And so starting to acknowledge when I may be, in a fear place, or if I may be in a place where, let me just be safe over here, to not do the thing that may be a little scarier. Right.
Yeah.
Though in my heart, it's screaming, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. That's where I'm kind of coming from this week in this, and like keeping the heart open to new experiences, keeping the heart open to receiving. All right. Like receiving more love, because I know from experience, when I'm in those modes where I've gone to the other side of the polarity and I'm not leading from my heart, I'm in just the mental mind only, and I'm being very strict with that, like only being in the mind and go, 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 go. The universe, my family, the world isn't showing me that much love because I'm not putting out that much love, right? But when I get myself back into a balance, which is what I've been playing with this week, getting back to myself, opening my heart, my husband cooked me this most amazing breakfast, let me sleep in, not let me sleep in, but I slept in, woke up to an amazing breakfast, and like, I was like, wow, this is how we used to be before we moved and everything was chaotic and crazy. And we're arguing and like trying to get through things. So it's been a great example of the differences with the heart closed and open, because our chakras fluctuate, right? There's a time where our heart needs to be closed down a little bit more. My best friend, like she walks around with a huge heart all the time. It's always wide open. And I'm always trying to help her just to close it down like 20%. Because there is times where you don't want to be absorbing and feeling everything all at once. It's finding that balance. So learning how to fluctuate. So basically summary is this last month has shown me when I've been closed off and when I've been super open, and kind of finding where I need to be.
Dang, girl.
Yeah. Because the heart is so powerful.
I almost want to relate that back to the mind too, right? Because I think you showed me this great infographic this morning that has like the basically growth mindset.
Yeah, I think we'll be sharing that on our social.
We should post it. We need to reshare it.
Yeah.
But basically, and I was telling Malena, oh my gosh, I see this all the time in terms of like old psychology versus new psychology, the old self, the new self, and how, and the thing that came to mind at that moment was healing. It takes courage to heal, but when you
Mm-hmm.
are healing, sometimes it can also be traumatic.
Mm-hmm.
What would it mean if I healed from this skin disease that my whole family still has?
Yes.
What would it mean if I have a different way to function
Or what
now?
would it mean if I just like was happier than everyone in my family?
Yeah.
Because sometimes
Yes.
even just like you feel guilt if you've got everything going on when the rest of you people in your life may be suffering.
Yeah. And then I'll challenge that even, right? It is a healer's greatest journey to learn to honor that space. I can tell you, because as a mother, when you see your child sick or suffering, being able to transition into, I see that you're sick and suffering, and I love you, and I hold this space to heal for you, but I'm not in judgment of the fact that your soul and spirit have decided to go through this at this time.
Mm-hmm.
I've been noticing that when I can transition more into that space instead of worry,
Yes.
or I'm sorry, or I wish I could make you feel better, my baby
Mm-hmm.
has a tendency to heal faster.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's actually how it works in all things. But, and I even think of this, I'll give this analogy. I have a dear friend whose husband recently had a significant trauma happen, and he's having to recover now. I don't want to get into the details, but basically she made this statement that I found so profound. She says, now he just doesn't wait to take action. His life was basically almost taken from him, and now he just has this different way of being, and I'm not used to it. I'm not used to watching how he now takes charge and acts on things, right? And so I think that when the heart is presented with these elements of life itself being, so very fragile, then courage can naturally show up, because you realize just how delicate this place can be,
Mm-hmm.
and how fragile life can be.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also props to her, because she was saying, it's crazy to now have to integrate how he is versus how he was.
Mm-hmm.
And all I could think to myself was, you actually did this journey before him.
Mm-hmm.
You decided to heal and choose yourself and pick yourself and prioritize yourself and do all of these many things for yourself before him. And yet that's perfect, because you're now stronger physically, mentally, emotionally, to hold this space. Yeah. For him. And she looks like a badass vixen too. You know what I'm saying? She also looks really hot.
So
the more work she's done.
Well, the more work we do, it's like we all will look, I feel like we all look younger. We all look, we walk taller, we walk more powerful. Like it naturally comes out, right? When we're feeling good, when we're feeling not so good, your shoulders go in, you might put your head down, you might be quieter in the corner. There's certain things that we just do, unconsciously. But something that you said that I used to sometimes tell my clients when I was a therapist way back when, was like, when you're doing the work and you're healing, and I used probably different words back then, be prepared that people around you will try to bring you back to the comfort zone. Because if they are at a place that maybe they haven't done some of the work, or haven't really acknowledged that some of this is within themselves or whatever, they will naturally, not on purpose, most of the time, it's just unconsciously, try to bring you back. And so there will be some ruffled feathers, and then the more you keep going at it, the stronger you become, the more you get your power back. I actually want to share this card that I pulled just randomly while we were talking, which I don't normally do, but I was inclined to. It's a protection card. So the more we do work around the heart, and the more we cut cords, bring back parts of our soul, become more of who we are, because we always leave parts of our energy scattered around. There's no way to not do that. Okay. So the more that we bring it all back to us, to the heart, and we start protecting ourselves, that courage has nowhere else to go but out, and it opens up the heart even more. So like, as we're saying this, I literally looked at that card just staring at me, and I was like, I need to share this, because we're calling back our power. We're calling, so true, bringing it back to the heart.
It's so true. I actually have a story about that. So this last year and a half, about a year and a half ago, I decided to come out as, because I've been functioning as a small school as a teacher. I do great work here, just doing it out of my home, privately. And so I finally decided to come out as an intuitive teacher, because that is really what I'm doing when I work with my kids.
Y'all, watching her with these kids is like magic. I just have to say, now that you've really come out and fused those two worlds, watching you is amazing. Anyways, I just had to say that.
Yeah, you just know. It's how do you know? Well, you just know. You know where to turn, which way to look, what's needed, what to rewrite, what needs to be programmed. You just know. It's really, I don't even know how, we all have this ability.
Yeah.
Anyway, the second I came out as an intuitive teacher, I started to have people, a couple who, oh, that's peculiar. Oh, that's strange. Oh, I don't know if that's for me, in fact. And I have a friend who was like, maybe you need to rechange it. Just go back to how it was. You're going to lose clientele. And I said, no.
No way. You can't go back.
Can't go back. I have to honor who I am. And who I am has pure, loving, great light intention for helping these children. So I have to honor my heart. And she was shocked, blah, blah, blah. You know, I think she loved what she heard, but also it was kind of challenging of the status quo of what most would do in a marketing sense.
Fear.
Yeah, which is normal. And I had, you know, maybe there was just like this much fear, but I had to honor the other part. And so what's crazy is, fast forward, I have like a 27 person wait list right now. And that was just some months ago. So what I challenge all of us to, and I say this in the most loving way, is that it's so beautiful if you can honor yourself and honor your heart, because your only job of being here is to show up to be who you are.
That's literally the only job we have.
Isn't that crazy? It's that simple, is to just show up to be who you are. And then the more I keep doing it, the more miraculous experiences I keep having, the more beautiful souls keep coming into my life. And it's just been wonderful. I've been so happy lately. Really, I can even look back 4 years ago wondering, who the hell am I and why am I here?
I mean, you're a different human being.
Yeah. And I keep getting new answers to that every day. It's not like it's just one answer. We're not so simple. It's much more complex, beautiful, and limitless than what we can perceive. But it all starts with just courage.
Yeah. I mean, the courage, I didn't even really think of it as courage until we were kind of going through what we went through this week. But everything I've done in the last 2.5 to 3 years went against all status quo, went against all family belief systems, societal belief systems. And here I am with a more open heart than I've ever had, walking my walk, coming out of the spiritual closet more and more every day, like stepping into more of who I am. And who knows where we'll both be a year from now. But all we know is that doing things with the intention and with the heart and finding that balance won't lead us astray.
No.
It like never will, you know. If I stay in the mind the whole time, sure. If I stay in the heart the whole time, sure. But finding this balance between the two has been really life-changing, I think.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful, friend. I feel like that's a good place to start to end this up and tie it up, because just the words life-changing. Yeah. Just think about that. I think that it's really common as humans for us to say, we want change. It would be nice. I would love to see this difference in my world. I would love a better relationship with this individual. But there's a certain level of action of honoring that heart and what you want. And you have to use the mind. You have to get the mind engaged with this game.
And something's coming up too, like when you're saying, but I want this, I want that. So many people say, but I can't.
Yeah.
I can't. And I'm like, who's saying you can't?
Yeah.
Only you're saying you can't. So I think that is a good belief system to start with, of like figuring out why you think you can't.
Oh yeah, that reminds me of Tammy Demirza. We're going to have her on here soon. She'll be basically our first interview, but she challenged me with the hardest love. It was the best. She's like, Janet, you can't or you won't. And I just immediately started pointing all my fingers at myself and thought, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, she's right.
Yeah. And the fear is what'll keep us in the won't. I can't. The fear, that comfort zone. Well, it's just safer if I just stay miserable over here, and it's not that like where you were at that time was a bad place. You just outgrew it, or it was time for you to move on, or you've overstayed your welcome in that way, and it's time for you to keep going and going and going. That to me freed me. That no decision I made was terrible or wrong or whatever, but every time I chose a different thing, that was courageous. So if you're out there and you think that you're not courageous, I guarantee you can find so many places in your life that you did show courage. Because sometimes we think of the courageous person as the knight, right? On the horse, ready to go into battle. But a lot of it is just making those small changes. So look at how courageous you've already been in this life, because that'll motivate you for whatever you've been maybe being asked to do, that you're like, I'm not ready. I can't do it. Like doing that inventory and seeing how far you've already come with the courage can propel you for more.
Holy cow. Now I know I just said we're going to be closing it up, but now that's like prompting all kinds
of. I know I can't stop on this topic. I swear, guys, like it's been such
I was sitting
an aha today, or like today. Yeah.
I was sitting with a client and I told her, you literally took 400 more steps to get to breakfast with me this morning, from waking up to getting into your car, all the steps in between that, brushing the teeth and so on, driving all the way across town, getting here, coming in my place, having our exchange, getting back in the car, to go to the restaurant, to pull out your credit card, to make your order, swipe for it, so on and so forth. The hundreds of steps happen just for you to get a crepe. But we don't take those types of steps in one act to just honor your voice, or to launch a business, or to question something. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really crazy. Mm-hmm. If you look at your day, how many steps transpire for you to just bring your kids to school, mm-hmm. for you to get to tonight's Madonna concert. Mm-hmm. Yeah, really wild what we'll show up for. And most of the things we'll show up for are the things that we're accustomed to. They're already part of the old patterns in psychology, so we're accustomed to doing it. But doing something that's outside of the old psychology, that could mm-hmm. question things, or could come with unpredictability, or could come with new changes, you have to show up if you want new, or if you want.
And those steps will look different. They'll feel different. They will be something you've never taken before. They'll be new, right?
Yeah.
So you'll still take the steps, but it's the unknown. Mm-hmm. It says it's when we're asked to do like more leaps of faith. And every single time over the last couple of months that I started to doubt, I had to go back into the heart and just check in. Is this still what feels good for me? Is this still what I know I need to do? And the answer would be yes, every time. So then I just kept going and going and going. And this is where I'm at now. There's been times where you change your mind. And that is totally cool too. All right. We have the choice to change our mind. But are we changing our mind because we're still in the fear of the comfort zone? Or are we changing our mind because, you know what? I just had a really cool, much cooler thought. Like this is actually now what I want to do. Right. I've already changed my business. I don't know how many times since I started my website, because each time I had to be more, I don't want to do an hour-long session anymore. It doesn't give me enough of a gap between clients. And now I'm only doing 45 because I can, I don't have to follow the rules that everyone's doing hour sessions. Okay. So just like those little things is when I'm showing up and still being courageous for myself. I'm just doing what I want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the thing that we also don't give ourselves enough credit for. You called it, girl, the little things. Mm-hmm. It's the little things that change paradigms. It's the little acts, it's the little decisions, it's the little pieces. And, if you're a mother out there, and I don't know why I keep feeling mamas come up, but I'm going to talk about it. Yeah. If you're a mother out there, please honor the fact that where you are is so much greater than you could possibly imagine. I think sometimes when we transition out of career and go back and forth, am I doing the right place? Am I doing enough? I have multiple kids. How am I juggling? just the one act, the one phrase, the one moment you give your child that day, and it might only be one because you might be outnumbered. Okay. It's magical. It's magnificent. It is engaging. It changes lives, changes your life, changes your child's life. Yeah. So yeah, having the courage to just acknowledge yourself is a big deal too.
Yeah. I think that's a great place to wrap it up now. Such an important conversation. I think this is why we've decided to do this. I think this is why we've decided to do the work that we're doing in this life. Because the heart really can change the planet. You know, the more and more of us that keep opening up to this awareness, to this importance of the heart, you know, it softens everything a little bit more. It sees the humanity in all. And it sees the humanity in the dog.
You heard her.
She liked that.
She did.
I've never heard her make that sound. But yeah, I'm just saying, like, the heart is what it is. We have it. We haven't been using it. A lot of us closed it off because we were in protection mode all the time, but now it's time to open it, show the world how courageous we are.
Dang, girl. Open your heart and show the world how courageous you are.
Yeah.
I just had to repeat that.
Yeah.
Dang. All right, boys and girls, and all of you others and thems and theys out there. We love you. I am so thankful to have you as part of our community. Keep looking for us. We have some stuff coming up soon. Hang tight. It'll be a good ride. And everyone, farewell. We love you.
Bye, everyone. If you liked what you heard today and want to see more about our offerings and gifts, please join our email list at heartfulbeings.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Heartful Beings.
Please note that our perspectives and views of the following content are ours and are not necessarily substitute to our holistic views and approaches to healing. Both of us believe in the numerous support tools available to all, which include and are not limited to therapy, mental health treatment, medical, prescription, and other types of traditional or alternative healthcare.